Welcome. Today we will be reading lesson 348 in the workbook and from the text, chapter 30, section 6, the Justification for Forgiveness, paragraphs 1 through 5. And now for lesson 348. I have no cause for anger or for fear, for you surround me, and in every need that I perceive, your grace suffices me. Father, let me remember you are here, and I am not alone. Surrounding me is everlasting love. I have no cause for anything except the perfect peace and joy I share with you. What need have I for anger or for fear? Surrounding me is perfect safety. Can I be afraid when your eternal promise goes with me? Surrounding me is perfect sinlessness. What can I fear when you created me in holiness as perfect as your own? God's grace suffices us in everything that He would have us do, and only that we choose to be our will as well as His. Let one today be aware of the presence of love which exists all around oneself, in complete safety and protection. What need has one for fear or anger, when peace and joy permeate all that one sees and one does? Anger is impossible in unity and connectiveness, for anger is merely a projection of separation. And in the company of love, one is never alone or separated. What love created, formless and forever, cannot be attacked or suffer loss. Love's blessings fulfill all of one's desires, removing any sense of lack or need. For what could the gift of everything be but the gift of love, which makes one whole and complete? And now for our text reading for today, from chapter 30, section 6, the Justification for Forgiveness, paragraphs 1 through 5. Anger is never justified. Attack has no foundation. It is here escape from fear begins and will be made complete. Here is the real world given in exchange for dreams of terror. For it is on this forgiveness rests, and is but natural. You are not asked to offer pardon where attack is due and would be justified, for that would mean that you forgive a sin by overlooking what is really there. This is not pardon, for it would assume that by responding in a way which is not justified, your pardon will become the answer to attack that has been made, and thus is pardon inappropriate by being granted where it is not due. Pardon is always justified. It has a sure foundation. You do not forgive the unforgivable, nor overlook a real attack that calls for punishment. Salvation does not lie in being asked to make unnatural responses, which are inappropriate to what is real. Instead, it merely asks that you respond appropriately to what is not real, by not perceiving what has not occurred. If pardon were unjustified, you would be asked to sacrifice your rights when you return forgiveness for attack. But you are merely asked to see forgiveness as the natural reaction to distress that rests on error, and thus calls for help. Forgiveness is the only sane response. It keeps your rights from being sacrificed. This understanding is the only change that lets the real world rise to take the place of dreams of terror. Fear cannot arise unless attack is justified, and if it had a real foundation, pardon would have none. The real world is achieved when you perceive the basis of forgiveness is quite real and fully justified. While you regard it as a gift unwarranted, it must uphold the guilt you would forgive. Unjustified forgiveness is attack. And this is all the world can ever give. It pardons sinners sometimes, but remains aware that they have sinned, and so they do not merit the forgiveness that it gives. This is the false forgiveness which the world employs to keep the sense of sin alive, and recognizing God is just, it seems impossible his pardon could be real. Thus is the fear of God the sure result of seeing pardon as unmerited. No one who sees himself as guilty can avoid the fear of God, but he is saved from this dilemma if he can forgive. The mind must think of its Creator as it looks upon itself. If you can see your brother merits pardon, you have learned forgiveness is your right as much as his. Nor will you think that God intends for you a fearful judgment that your brother does not merit. For it is the truth that you can merit neither more nor less than he. Forgiveness recognized as merited will heal. It gives the miracle its strength to overlook illusions. This is how you learn that you must be forgiven too. There can be no appearance that cannot be overlooked. For if there were, it would be necessary first there be some sin that stands beyond forgiveness. There would be an error that is more than a mistake, a special form of error that remains unchangeable, eternal, and beyond correction or escape. There would be one mistake that had the power to undo creation and to make a world that could replace it and destroy the will of God. Only if this were possible could there be some appearances that could withstand the miracle and not be healed by it. We learn in this section that anger could only be justified if attack were possible. Yet anger is never justified because attack has no foundation, being based on the illusion of a separated self. One cannot be attacked because of the formless eternal creation which one is. For what love created cannot be attacked. And this is why forgiveness is always justified. One is able to forgive the appearance of attack because the attack did not occur. True forgiveness never forgives an attack, for it merely overlooks an illusion. And in forgiving the illusions of others, are one's own illusions forgiven? For the miracle looks upon the appearance of loss and destruction, and says, it is not so. Forgiveness is a correction to a perceptual error, and there are no appearances that cannot be forgiven.